talk today about the aspect of grace as our teacher. What better way for you and I to learn than to be walking in this process of being taught by the grace of God? You know, so oftentimes we think there are people out there who believe that God teaches us by giving us sickness or giving us hardships or putting things upon us so that we'll learn lessons. And the reality is that we do experience hardships. We do. Sometimes sickness does come against our bodies, but that's not from God. God does not give that to us. God does not teach us lessons by sickness and hardships. God teaches us lessons through that time. And like Romans chapter 8, verse 28 says, all things work together for good for those who love God, for those who are called according to his purpose. But that doesn't mean that those things originated from God. We live in a fallen world. And because of that, God has given us his grace so we don't have to live according to those circumstances, but we can live according to his power, his grace to get past those circumstances. So as we continue to walk down this path, we realize that when God teaches us, he teaches us by his grace, by his loving kindness, by this covenant that he has given us, by all his goodness. So if you look over in Titus chapter 2, verse 11, it says, "For the grace of God that brings salvation hath appeared unto all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lusts, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world." You see, a teacher deals with mindsets. A teacher deals with individuals. A teacher deals with the why and the framing of thoughts, conceptions in the heart, the way that we think, not just the actions that are behind that come about because of it, but the way that we think. It changes us from the inside out. A teacher walks with the pupil and walks with their students through the process of change and transformation. Even when they do things wrong, correction comes, not because a discipline is desired, but because learning is desired, because growth is desired. That's exactly what a teacher does. That's exactly what the grace of God does for us. That's beautiful. It's not about God giving us sickness to teach us a lesson. It's about God giving us grace to walk us through the lessons that are necessary for us to learn and grow, even amongst the circumstances in a fallen world. And as we continue to realize that and understand it, it changes how we think. It changes how we grow. It changes how we operate. So going back to that verse again, Titus 2, 11 and 12, it says this, "For the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness, worldly lusts, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world." Let's look on exactly what it teaches us. It teaches us how to say no to this world, how to not be led by our circumstances. It teaches us to keep God as our priority, as our number one in our hearts, to keep our eyes fixed and focused upon him, and denying worldly lust, that we're not led by our five senses. The circumstances are not going to tell me how I'm going to live my life. No. That will never be the case. Circumstances may come, circumstances may stand against me, but they will not dominate me. They will not dictate to me my growth and my success. The Word of God will. The grace of God, as I go through the Word of God, will show me how to properly implement his Word so that I find that success. It takes God living through us to live out all the promises that God has given to us. And I'll tell you something, the grace of God will usher us into just that. The Spirit of God living through us, living abundantly, that abundant life through us so that we can manifest his goodness in every area of our life, whether at school, we're at work, we're at home, wherever we might be. We become a living, walking, breathing testimony of the goodness of God, of the grace of God, because the grace of God has become our teacher. He walks us through all those different principles. So